So when you look up at the night sky, past the planets, past the stars, and all those swirling galaxies, what do you actually see? I mean, most of us would probably confidently say, well, nothing. We kind of picture the vacuum of space as this vast, chilling emptiness, right? Just a complete and utter void where absolutely nothing exists. But what if I told you that the very foundation of our universe is built on a breathtaking illusion? What if that empty space you're picturing right now isn't empty at all, but rather this bustling, invisible ocean, just teeming with interconnected activity? Today, we're going to totally challenge your core perception of reality itself, because I promise you, by the end of our time together, your answer to whether space is truly empty is going to completely change.
Welcome to This Explainer. I am so incredibly excited to be your guide today as we explore the Cosmic Symphony, the Higgs Ocean, and standing waves. We're going to unpack a really brilliant source that frames the reality of quantum physics not as some dry, incomprehensible math, but as a literal cosmic symphony. We'll be exploring the Higgs field and standing waves, translating some of the most profound discoveries in human history into this totally cinematic journey. We're going to decode the invisible architecture of the universe and see how literally everything, from a tiny electron to the stars above to even you and me, is intrinsically connected to this cosmic ocean. So get comfortable, bring your curiosity, and let's just jump right in and start uncovering the hidden fabric of reality.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Our source material offers us this incredibly poetic foundational metaphor. It says, in the vast vacuum, a group of Higgs particles hold hands, living happily in the vast universe. I mean, what a brilliant way to visualize quantum field theory. Instead of thinking of particles as these lonely, isolated little dots just flying through a dark void, we really need to picture an infinite, invisible ocean of particles perpetually linked together, like they're literally holding hands. They form this continuous, unbroken grid, or fabric, that stretches seamlessly across the entire cosmos. It's this underlying connected web of Higgs particles that actually gives the universe its structure. It's just a beautiful thought, isn't it? A universe woven together by invisible hands, making up the very stage on which everything else exists.
And let's see how this builds, because the scale of this concept is truly mind-bending. Our source emphasizes that these hand-holding particles are everywhere. And when we say everywhere, we mean absolutely omnipresent. This invisible ocean flows through the unimaginably dense, roaring nuclear furnace right at the center of the sun. It flows quietly and completely uninterrupted through the interior of your own body, right at this very second. It even exists at the incomprehensible edge and deep inside of black holes where the normal rules of space and time just break down entirely. This fabric, it doesn't care about extreme heat, or immense gravity, or biological boundaries. The Higgs Ocean is the fundamental canvas upon which all of these extreme cosmic events are painted. You just simply cannot escape it.
Now, you might be wondering, okay, if there's this rigid, hand-holding ocean everywhere, how does anything actually happen? How does energy move through it? Well, our source breaks this dynamic down perfectly into a sequence of events. First, imagine a sudden local excitation occurs somewhere in the field, like a burst of energy. Because all these Higgs particles are holding hands, the adjacent particles shift up, down, left, or right. But here is the absolutely critical part. They shift in place. They don't fly across the room. They jiggle exactly where they are. And because they're connected, that jiggle pulls on the next particle, and then the next. The energy broadcast literally ripples outward. Think of a stadium wave of the sports game, right? The people in the crowd don't run around the stadium, they just stand up and sit down in place. But the wave itself travels all the way around. That three-dimensional ripple, carrying an energy broadcast, like an electromagnetic wave or the weak nuclear force, that moves through space, while the cosmic ocean itself stays firmly anchored.
Now, what's really interesting about this next concept is just how tough this ocean really is. See that massive number, over 200 giga-electron-volts, or GeV? What that represents is pretty wild. We just talked about particles jiggling in place to pass along a wave. But what if you actually wanted to break their grip? What if you wanted to physically dislodge a Higgs particle from its position in the vacuum, like forcing it out of that hand-holding grid? The source notes that it would require an immense amount of energy, more than 200 GeV, just to squeeze a single particle out of its spot. To put that into perspective, that is an astronomical, almost violent amount of energy at the quantum scale. This brilliantly illustrates just how incredibly tough and stable this field is. The universe's foundation is anchored with unimaginable strength. These particles strongly prefer to just vibrate and pass along the broadcast rather than ever letting go of each other.
So, if the particles of the field stay in place, what exactly is moving between objects in the universe? Well, this brings us to a fascinating concept: virtual particles. When two objects, like, say, two electrons, interact with one another, they don't actually throw solid little baseballs of energy at each other. Instead, they transfer energy by creating those exact waves or ripples we just talked about. As these energy broadcasts move through the anchored Higgs field, rippling across that interconnected grid, we observe this transfer of energy, and we call them virtual particles. They're essentially the elusive messengers of energy. They pop into existence just long enough to carry a message, a force or an interaction, from one point in the ocean to another, and then they just melt right back into the steady, quiet fabric of the field.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of the illusion we live in. Let's actually zoom out from the field itself for a second and look at something we consider solid matter, an atom. If you've taken a science class, you probably know that an atom is mostly empty space. To visualize this, just as the source suggests, imagine an atom is the size of a massive, sprawling football field. The electron circling that atom is nothing more than a tiny ping pong ball placed somewhere inside that massive stadium. The distance between the nucleus at the center and the electron on the edge is vast, filled with that so-called vacuum we discussed earlier. But we now know that football field isn't truly empty, right? It's completely filled with the omnipresent, hand-holding Higgs ocean. So what exactly is that tiny ping pong ball? If the field is everywhere, what makes the electron physically different from the space around it?
This brings us to the absolute climax of our Cosmic Symphony. The source reveals that the little ping pong ball, the electron, right, a fundamental building block of solid matter, isn't a solid, independent object at all. If a massive amount of energy gets trapped in a localized group of these hand-holding Higgs particles, it generates a standing wave. Think of it like plucking a guitar string. The string vibrates rapidly in one place, creating this stable, stationary wave that doesn't travel down the neck of the guitar. It just hums, fiercely, right where it is. The source explains that if the standing wave is generated in the field and it doesn't leave, it just stays there vibrating, well, that is actually what the electron is. It is merely a stable standing wave within the Higgs field. Solid matter is nothing more than a localized, persistent vibration of the cosmic ocean itself.
Which brings us to our final, truly profound consideration for today. We started by looking outward at the empty vacuum of space, but let's end this explainer by looking inward. If your physical body is constructed entirely out of atoms, and we've just learned that those atoms, those tiny ping-pong balls inside those sprawling football fields, are not solid objects, but are simply localized, vibrating standing waves in an infinite, invisible cosmic ocean, what are you? You are not separate from the fabric of the universe. You are quite literally a complex, beautifully orchestrated symphony of ripples in that very fabric. The illusion of solid matter is just that. It's an illusion. You are a localized song played on the strings of the universe. It's a staggering reality to wrap your mind around, for sure, and I really hope this explainer has given you a vivid, lasting picture of the breathtaking architecture hidden just beneath the surface of our world. Keep questioning, keep looking deeper, and I'll catch you next time.